mess anymore. What the frig? Crazy. All right. And just looking at some movers this morning. The typical, I mean, no shockers here. Palantir. Tesla. Just on a tear. Tesla. Just absolutely, literally ridiculous change. Like, totally ridiculous move. Got all these price levels marked for absolutely no reason whatsoever. They're just useless now. Hitting 478 here overnight. What a nut house. Current trade 474. Are trading higher after Mizuho upgraded the stock. I mean, I don't know what. They upgrade the stock after it's, I don't know, whatever. And that's enough to move it. This Tesla analyst turns bullish. I mean, where you been, dude? Wow. Anyway, there you have it. Hitting 478.95 overnight. Absolute beast. What else is on the playlist today? There's a few stocks got earnings today, or no? I think most of them are Thursday. I think there might be one in the morning tomorrow. We'll have to take a look at those. And then you got some of these crypto plays, which have done pretty decently. Mara. Micron had a pretty good day yesterday. What is this? Ahead of Trump's return, the White House, U.S. approves $406 million grant for Chinese chip makers. Bully. Current trade here is 109.16. I'd look for some. You got this big volume hole here at about 117. Apparently this thing, get rid of that. I don't know what that's for. Probably get some resistance at around 114. Right about, what was that, at 114.71. Where'd my, didn't like my drawing. All right, 114.88 or so. Micron's been stuck for quite a while in this range. From 95.16 to about 114, and it's been chopping and slopping in there for about 2 months now, October, November, and most of December. So we'll see if it starts smashing its head here. Volatility is very high in Micron. 86.8. I got a couple of positions on in here. Went over one last night. Not going to go over it again. They have earnings on Wednesday. And I think they may be, are they an after the bell? I think they're an after the beller. And then some of these other, there's a lot of stocks with that look interesting, that have good high volatility, but, like X, I really don't want to do anything in here. too much headline, and with the deal and all that other stuff, it's going, it's not going. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Just too much going on with it, and it's you know, even though volatility's high, there's really not much you can do outside of selling puts. I'm already long stock. You can't buy calls because calls are way overpriced. And realistically, these, oh geez, look at this horrible spreads on here. This has to be updated. The problem with Tasty Trade, if you leave it open overnight, if you leave it on overnight, it doesn't, like, everything gets, the data behind the app gets really funky and weird, and I don't get it. It's really bad. I mean, you have to restart it every night. I mean, it must run on Windows on the back end, because that's usually how Windows works. Windows is shitty like that, where it has to be, like, rebooted and shit. So we'll give it a restart here and see what happens, but because those spreads in there look god awful, man. Oh boy, look at this. Yeehaw. Alright, okay. Let's see, let's go into X. And if I was going to do anything in here, I would actually go out to March. I mean, I know it's kind of lengthy, but yeah, there's no, got no update on any of this. You see, you can't even do anything in here. I mean, look at they haven't even updated the quotes. They're bad. Let me see what it looks like on Stink and Swim. Stink and Swim. What happened to this app, though? Sad. Yeah, it is sad. I mean, it is sad what happened to this app, because it used to be the shit. Now it's garbage. I mean, it's not totally horrible, but it's pretty bad. I mean, I use it because it's free and I have it, but it's pretty bad. They need to update this. This is fucking dated. I mean, how outdated is this option chain thing? I mean, I'm sure they're probably still using code from like frickin' 2002 when it came out. Yeah, the bids, there have no updates on any of these bids in here. It looks awful. Go out to March. Let's see how February looks. Same thing. That's why it's tough to do a lot of this stuff pre-market, because you really can't get a feel for, you know, because they'll pull the bids out on a lot of these options just so, you know, they don't look attractive, and it happens. So you really can't do anything. I don't think you can do anything in there anyway. I think it's become a dead stock now because they pulled that deal. So you can't really do anything in there, even though volatility is high. The one stock that kind of keeps catching my eye is Pfizer. Earnings on February the 4th. You probably could do something in January. The only thing you can really do in Pfizer is sell puts. You're not, there's even though volatility is high in here, there's not really a hell of a lot of there with this. Stock overall is okay to trade because it's the spreads are usually pretty tight. I mean, in most cases, if you look here, here's 5 cents, but in most cases they're like a couple cents wide. But I don't think margin really is it. Margin's low in here. But what can you really do? You're going to sell what? You're going to sell a 25 put. I mean, so basically all you can do here is like stock replacement. And so you sell a 25 put for 60 cents. Wah. You know, I don't know. That doesn't really... And you can't really buy anything because volatility is so high. Maybe you just buy the stock, do a covered call. Do a covered call. Yeah, even a covered call. So if you do the 26, you're not getting anything. You're getting 50 cents. It brings your cost basis down to 25.42. It's trading at 25.97. It's not really doing anything for you. Plus, I don't think it's a really efficient way of using your capital. At $1,200, and then there's nothing to do there. And it's a shame because volatility is so high. Now, Palantir, I mean, here's one that's an interesting play because if you look at this thing has just been an absolute beast. It's been an absolute beast. And, you know, quite frankly, I mean, I have to be honest, I got my head ripped off on this stock quite a bit, and I've been a pretty negative advocate on it because up until, you know, just a few months ago, this thing was the biggest piece of shit on the planet. I mean, they were in business since 2002, and they never made money. And now all of a sudden they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. So, you know, I don't know. It's amazing how tides can turn. I mean, are they the next Tesla? I don't know. I mean, you can see I have 100 shares here at 1783. But that's not all peaches and gravy. Let me tell you, I was selling calls against my position, and I was getting freaking hammered. I was getting hammered on my calls, bad. I kept rolling them, and the stock kept going up. And I think yesterday was probably one of the first down days we've had in this stock for a while, and it's not even a red candle either. I think we turned out, we actually were down about $3, yes, $3 or $4. Maybe it was more. I don't really remember. I know it was down. I mean, but what are you going to do? Like, looking at the chart on this, it's like, what is that doing for you? Like, I mean, it's been straight up. I mean, so unless you're going to just buy it on the dips, I mean, it looks like it's bid 73 today. It's kind of due for a Dewey cheat him and Howe. Dewey whack him and Howe, I should say, moment. So, kind of waiting on that, but, you know, who knows anymore. All this crap is just completely off the rails, man. Totally off the rails. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with it, to be quite honest. And it's kind of... what is going on here? It's kind of a mixed bag. I'm just trying to do something here with this. I don't know what the frick... Oh, come on. Sometimes technology is a pain in the arse. All right. There we go. So Palantir, I don't really know what to do with it. I don't think you can short it. I mean, it seems like an easy trade. But it's also an easy way to get your face ripped off. But I have to say, realistically, like even in a January as a short-term play, so we're trading, we'll call it 75 because that's where it closed yesterday. And you look at the call skew at the 75 strike. Let's do this. Weird, oh weird. Hold on. It's me again. I'm back. The unprepared streamer. That's awesome being unprepared. It really is. I love it. It makes you human. Doesn't make you so robotic. That's what we were looking for, screen brush. So here in the 75 strike here. And you look at the call skew, and I always look at the bid because the bid's actually the real, that's the real price. And you see there's literally a $1, over $1.05 call skew here. So if you're going to do anything and as far as like, you know, pure volatility play, you got to sell calls. You gotta sell calls. So, I mean, what calls do you sell when you look at the chart? This thing has just been an absolute monster. But this too will come to pass. I mean, if we actually look at the chart when volatility actually spiked, there were times when it did, you know, kind of, I would say sway off, but it didn't tank. Right? We have not gotten a real tanking in this at all. It's been a moonshot basically since August. Is kind of when, you can even say June, but it was really August is when it really took off. And that's when it really started pounding away. I don't know. Is it over? Who knows? But if you're going to do anything in here and you got any cojones, you sell calls, but I don't know. That's burnt me in the past. But like anything, you do something long enough, eventually you're gonna be right. I think. I don't know, but the market kind of doesn't prove that, right? Usually, if you keep doing something that's wrong, you'll probably stay wrong. But if I was going to sell calls, I like the, especially in January, I like the 90 strike. I like the 90 strike. And the reason is this right here. Big numbers. Open interest 12K. The 80s have 22, but I would assume that a lot of this is not people selling calls. This, I assume, is more long interest that people own these. But you have some pretty big numbers out here for a stock that's trading 73 and literally $15 away from a lot of these strikes, and only a month away. I mean, we've seen this stock can really go nuts. But at what point is it going to blow its brains out? At some point, it's gonna. But I really do like the 90 strike. And that is the reason why. That's why my eye kind of gets caught there. I also like it because of this, which is the one standard D. You got one standard D here, right? It's a little inside of what you should traditionally do, but seeing that the stocks had such a huge run, that's kind of why I would stick at the 90. The safer bet obviously would be the 100. Again, big open interest. Look at the open interest out here. 18K, 12K, 6K, 10, 22. So a lot of open interest up and down. I mean, it doesn't, but I'm just looking here because that's where I happen to be. Is the 90. I mean, maybe you do a ratio. do the 95-100 ratio. Why in the hell is that actually doing that for only a 72 cent credit? Why is my buying power? Oh, I know why. Because I'm short. I already own stock, so I don't get no hit on buying power. So that's kind of a lie. It's I'm long 100 shares. And so what this does, this gives me 8 deltas. I would actually do this. And I don't know if this is overall. I'm just playing here. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I want to do this. I'm try it 3-to-1. A 3-to-1 will bring in 97 cents. I don't know if I want to use $1,800. You can't go by this, folks. This max profit on these ratios, because the chances of you making that's assuming everything. So look at this on the curve, right, on this ratio. This assumes everything goes right. Right? You hold this to literally like the last moment you can hold it. Let's get this fixed. There you go. You hold it as long as you can hold it until expiry. And again, everything works out freaking perfect. Why is this curve a mess? What is going on with the platform here? What is all? My God, what a mess. What the frick is going on here? Oish. Here's what I was looking at. The 100, I'll get it right. The 195 puts your break even at about 103 and change. You do this for $1.81. You're going to use some juice. I mean, let's face it. You're going to use some. Now I'm using. It's going to be more than that because I'm long 100 shares. So my buying power isn't going to get hit. This is probably about a $2,300 buying power hit. Maybe more. 23. Let's see. It's probably more closer to $3,000 buying power hit. But the reason I like it is because 96% pop, I get 21 negative deltas, which is definitely what I really like here because I'm actually getting some negative delta, and also the theta. Look at that theta. The theta at 10, I really like that. That makes this really a very attractive trade. Now, don't look at the max profit, 681. I mean, if you make back your credit and then some, which is really what you're doing here, this is a successful trade. But it is beefy. It is definitely beefy, and you're going to use some juice with it. But if you got juice, you can do juice. And especially for me, actually a little easier. Again, like I don't want anybody to get a misconception. If you're not long stock, this probably doesn't make sense. Let's face it. So anyway, that is one trade I'm kind of contemplating. I'm playing a little mental masturbation in my head with it. I don't know. I'm a little scorned only because Palantir's really beaten the piss out of me. I'm actually going to do this. Let me pull this up here. PLTR. Play a little game here. PLTR. And we were doing January. And I was doing the ratio, right? It was the 95. I want to see what let me do custom. I want to see what Stinker Swim or Charles Schwab. All right, so even Schwabi, a 1 for 3 is only 1,500 in Schwabi. So Schwabi's giving me a better rate than Tasty Trade. So how do you like that? So Schwabi's doing a little bit better for me. You know, I diss on Schwabi, but Schwabi is doing a little bit better. 1,500 buying power hit as opposed to Tasty Dick actually giving me a little bit of, soaking me in a little bit in the buying power, which is kind of fucked because, I shouldn't even say that, but it's kind of messed up because I actually own stock. And why are they hitting me with more in buying power? And I don't even own stock in the other account. So that's pretty messed up. You really think about it. So anyway, I would do it on Schwabi because they're actually giving me better margin. Isn't that amazing how it works with two different brokerages, right? That's why it's worth having two brokerages, folks, because you know what? Regardless of when anybody says, look, Tasty Trade's a good platform and everything else, but, you know, there's times when I do trades on Tasty Trade and I do them on Schwabi, and Schwabi gives me better margin. 9 times out of 10, Schwabi gives me better margin most of the time. So, I mean, it could be because I have a boatload more money with them, probably, because I have probably portfolio margin, which I don't have in Tasty Trade. But anyway, there you go on Palantir, and that is kind of like, that's kind of where my head's at. So either the 1-for-3 ratio or the 1-for-2. The 1-for-2, 1-for-3, it doesn't matter. I kind of like the 1-for-3 better. And that's kind of one I'm going to be rolling around in my head with. I'm going to take a screenshot of that and put it on the refrigerator. So anyway, yeah, that's another one. And they don't have earnings for a while, right? Like February? Yeah, February. So that's not really an issue. Nikola, I'm not going to play those. These are, I'm done with all these stocks, these Nikolas and this Neos, and I don't even want it. They're just fucking garbage. They're garbage, dude. They are garbage, and I just don't even want to deal with them. This is one that's on the radar now. All of a sudden, this Plains All American Pipeline, and I don't know why. Like, obviously, I know what they do because of the name, but I didn't even know what the hell they were. But that's on the volatility list. Verizon, of all things. Verizon. Problem with Verizon, though, I mean, even though there's high volatility in here, this is kind of a crap stock to trade. It always has been. It doesn't move really very much. And it's more of a dividend play than anything. But you just look at the strikes here, and there's nothing in here. This is a dead stick. Murky. Let's take a look at Murky. Murky Waters. This is not traditionally a very good stock to trade, honestly. Pretty wide spreads too, which kind of stinks. Right? You always want to look at this stuff. I mean, here's around the 100. Look at the spreads in here. This one's the put spreads are tight. Call spreads are a little wide. Have to see how it opened. But I don't know if you can do anything in there. All right, let's look at earnings. That's really it. I mean, it's a rough market. Let's face it. There's not really a hell of a lot you can do. I mean, everybody's a genius right now. If you're just long, basically, a quarter, if you're long the top 20 stocks in every index, you're a genius right now. Let's see, earnings. I think somebody's coming up. Let's see. The 18th, General Mills. This is usually a piece of crap. Expected move $1. You can't do anything in there, even though volatility is relatively high. You can't do nothing in there. Amentum Holdings. Never heard of it. Shame on me. JBL. Jabil. They got earnings on the 18th. Everything's on the 18th, and I'm not going to go out that far. This one's before the bell, so you'd have to do this tonight in Jabil before the bell. That's really it. General Mills, and I'm not even going to look at this because this is a piece of crap. And Jabil, I'm not even really going to look at this either. I don't know. Let's look at January and see. Yeah, I can't look at it. Look at the spreads in here. You can drive a truck through here. I mean, $2 wide markets. Forget about it. Forget about it. You ain't touching this thing, right? I mean, you got to look at this stuff, folks. That's why when I see people like, oh, yeah, I bought call options or I bought puts, and it's like, well, yeah, you got screwed because look at this. Look at these spreads. Look at this. This is almost $1. Like, get out of here. You want tight markets, man. When there's big spreads like this, that means the people down on the floor get paid to push it, and you don't want it. You're behind the 8 ball right away. As soon as you buy these, you're cooked. Lennar, this one not be bad. This one might not be bad. Expecting, like, let's see, December. You could do Lennar. No, you're not really getting anything if you went outside. No, let's see January. You got to do January to get any juice. Spreads in here are not really good. Not really good at all. They're pretty bad. I have to see how this opens. I have to see how this opens. I don't know. I've actually traded this before a few times, not many. I don't think any of it was good. I have to see how this opens. They can't really do anything here. And that's kind of it. And then we'll wait for Micron. We'll do that one. That's it for earnings. So there's really not much. Back to our liquidity, high options volume. Always stick to this list. The reason is because of liquidity. These really are the most liquid stocks. Tesla, I'm not even going to talk about it. I don't even know what the hell you do with that. FedEx, they have earnings on the 19th. So we'll talk about, might do something in there. You're going to have to do something in January because their earnings come out on Friday morning. And the December options will have expired at that point. I mean, not totally horrible spreads. They're not great. 20-cent wide here. 70 cents on the upside. Here, they're less, the 30. So you could do... Let's look at the strangle. If you did the 240, 330 strangle, it's going to be you're going to use some buying power on this. Let's face it, it's $200 stock. But if you do the one standard deviation, right outside the one standard deviation strangle, right? One standard D, one standard D. Expected move in January is $28, so you're well outside of that on both sides. You're at an 11 delta on the put side and a 16, so you're kind of in the wheelhouse overall. You have some awesome theta in here. I actually like that. I'm actually going to probably do that one. I like that one. Even though I'm going to use $2,800, and I know that's stiff. I actually like that one. And then, obviously, if you want to kind of do a synthetic one, you would just go and cover these legs. They're 10 wide, so you can't do a $5 wide. And you're probably going to use about 800, right? That's usually about what it is. Yep, 787 on that. So you do a 10 wide iron condor, bring in 213. You're still got a 73% pop. You still got good theta number here. And you're only using $700 worth of BP. And that's what that one looks like. So either one, depending on, again, it all depends on what kind of money you want to use. But FedEx looks like one that we might do. We'll look at that one on Thursday. So that's it. That's all I got. There's a bunch of other bullshit coming out today. I think there's like PMI or something. There's some economic data that's not going to make any difference at all at this point. I mean, I don't even know like what economic data even does anymore. I mean, it's almost like good news is bad. Good news is good news. Bad news is good news. Mediocre news is good news. So it's all just good news. So it's just, I don't know. Who knows? And that's all I got for today. What time is it? It's 8:30. So I think there is something coming out, or it did come out, or it's supposed to come out. And then you got the big day tomorrow. So that's it. So that's all I got. And hopefully, we possibly be back either later today, maybe before the close, or definitely tomorrow morning.